Hi there, welcome to Isle Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Cancer energy. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives. If you harness high vibe Cancer energy and you're kind of motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness and all those good things, you'd want to be in a relationship with other people who harness their Cancer energy that way. We all tap into Cancer energy regardless of what zodiac sun sign we are. And love is to be just and fair, to treat other people the way you want to be treated. And if it's a romantic relationship, to actually be in the relationship for reasons of love versus other reasons. And some of the people in our life have a different idea of love. Maybe don't think it has to be just and fair. Maybe think it should be more about them or them being indulged. Some people don't even want to do love, and that can be a hard thing for loving people to understand and accept the truth of. But some people don't want to do love. If that requires them to be more just or fair, temper their ego, learn lessons in life, grow up and mature themselves, no, they don't want to do it. And some people in their Cancer energy, they emotionally love being more about themselves or things of the world. They're sure that's what's going to make them happy. And everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want it. So it's just to kind of get out of our ego and accept the truth of it. I'm also getting a card out of the Cost of Becoming card, and it says, identity dissolves before rebirth begins. So, we have to quit being more emotionally attached to a way of living life and viewing life in order to kind of move forward in life differently. Because just like when we were 15, 18, 21, and 25, we had a way of living life, viewing life that we thought was just and fair. That was our truth at that point in time. But as we grow up and learn lessons in life, hopefully we shed kind of that old layer of ourself and we give birth to the next version of ourself. Like, nope, I'm going to face my fears and hold myself to a higher standard, believe in myself, believe in my dreams, put away those more immature, childish ways, and move forward in life. And it can be a painful process, especially this has a lot of water in it, and that can mean emotionally. It can be hard to detach from an old way of living life, viewing life, people in our life, habits, vices, all those kind of things. But if we want to give birth to something new, we have to go through that emotional process. So that kind of reminds me of Scorpio energy, which is about death and rebirth, which is transformation. We're not the same person that we used to be before. So we have the cards out. If we just look at the bottom cards first, which is why those other cards came out that tell us kind of what's going on, kind of underneath the surface of what's going on is kind of what in the King of Wands, what people are motivated and inspired by. And the Nine of Swords is Gemini energy, about our dualistic nature, that we have the free will to have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in love, or we could be more about ourselves, the world, want to live more from our mind than our heart. And everybody could be stressed out about people in their life where they do have these opposite viewpoints. Oh, I'd really like to be in a relationship with them, but they want to do love. I don't want to do love. I'm stressed because I could love them and like them and like to be in a relationship with them, but they could want me to, the Six of Pentacles and the Chariot and the Empress. In high vibe, those all talk about getting more balanced within yourself from a place of love. And for people who like to live more from their mind than their heart, that, to close out a cycle in any area, there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. And so at a 9, some people really stressed about love or doing love or moving forward in life differently or having to be more just and fair. Or the Empress can talk about just giving birth to something new emotionally, doing something different than how they normally do it. And some people really have a lot more fear maybe than other people about stepping out of their comfort zone, about having more hope and faith and belief in themselves or others or love. And so some of those people and people who are really kind of really like to be more about themselves. The King of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self, and anyone in their own Aries energy within themselves really have a hard time because they really want it to be more about them. And so odds are the people who are really fearful of love, really more inspired to want to live more from their mind than their heart, want to harness these energies in a more shadowy way where it's more about, I want to be in a relationship. I want to look like I have what other people have. I want to be in friendship, relationship, have jobs. But I just really want to kind of keep giving birth to the same thing I've been giving birth to emotionally. Like the Empress can kind of be what you want to manifest emotionally, and they want to keep manifesting the exact same thing. And other people want to kind of move forward in life a little differently now, and and for some people, they're at that stage again in a relationship, a friendship, a workplace. People are moving forward differently. People have worked through some of their fears, their insecurities, gotten more balance within themselves, maybe healed from past pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurity, being more about themselves. They're moving forward in life differently. Oh my gosh, things are changing, and that could be when some people could really be thinking in the Five of Cups, which is, I said this card kind of reminds me of Scorpio about death and transformation. Some people are like, I don't want to look to the future really. And the Two of Cups and the Three of Cups are both Cancer energy, but the Three of Cups can be that people have unresolved issues from their past that they haven't worked through, that still manipulate them emotionally, that have them up in their head. And they just could lack some hope and faith and belief in love. And so they keep letting whatever emotionally manipulates them, if that's things within themselves, things in their past, people in their life, that's still more kind of what their focus is on, where other people could have been at that stage of life at one point in time, but they chose to focus more on truth and love. They offered they were inspired to get balance within themselves. So the Chariot is Cancer energy. They offered love to themselves to work through those regrets of the past, to work through things that manipulate them, get out of jobs, friendships, and relationships with people that weren't very loving, maybe weren't very just and fair, didn't work with people more cooperatively. And they offered love to themselves and the situation to be inspired to keep having hope and faith and belief in themselves, and they work through it, and some other people still haven't worked through it. But everybody can want to be in, they're in jobs, they're in friendships, they're in relationships, and we have the free will choice that, what, instead of working through it, and the truth sets us free, instead of dealing with the truth of it, working through it, being inspired within myself to work through it, being inspired to get, offer love to it. We can just choose to operate from our ego. I'm just going to not deal with it. I'm sure it'll all be okay. And then they take action more out of still not dealing with the issue and thinking maybe they can control the situation regardless. Like, and shadowy energy can be, I think I can manipulate the situation. Um, and some people right now, sometimes shadowy people, they like to be in relationships with people. The Five of Cups can be that you're sad. Why? Because something didn't work out, didn't move forward, experienced some loss in your life, and people are stressed out. There's some people in the world who prey on people like that. Oh, look, there's someone who's sad and stressed out. And then it can kind of be just to indulge themselves in a relationship. Some of them can be more loving and encouraging and supportive, but they want them to kind of stay in more shadowy energy and kind of view them as this just and fair and loving person. But they don't ever plan to grow and heal and mature themselves and move forward any different. Like, I want you to kind of be shadowy. You could heal and grow and mature yourself somewhat, but don't really get more balance within yourself and love yourself and expect me to grow and heal and mature myself and move forward with you differently than I do it now. It's okay for them to think other people should maybe heal or grow and mature themselves, but not them. And so that can be the problem that happens with shadowy people in a relationship. Some people have already dealt with people like that and they don't want to repeat that pattern. So they did this work within themselves to figure out, you know, kind of how they could have harnessed these energies in a more shadowy way, worldly way, that got them in those relationships to begin with and kept them in it for as long as it did. And some people are in the process of doing that right now because they're in that kind of situation. The Wheel of Fortune, the Knight of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Ace of Cups. So we all have been where we're kind of sad and stressed out that some things in our life didn't work out the way we wanted, and maybe that some people we thought weren't just or fair, or maybe we're controlling, or more about the ego and the image and the status of it, weren't really loving. Well, the high vibe people work through it to accept the truth of it. And the Seven of Pentacles in Taurus energy can be this philosophy of life that we have. And the high vibe people kind of offer love to the situation to see the truth of it. Everybody has these different ways of viewing life. Some people in our life did work through and were inspired to put in work and effort to work through those issues. And they were more just and fair and loving. And those are people we're going to keep moving forward with. But there's other people in our life who weren't inspired to do that work. And they kept defending a certain way of living life and viewing life, which could have been that they turned their back on love. And it was more about, being about themselves or the world or bossy or controlling or manipulative, something. And, the high vibe people have worked through it. They offered, again, love to the situation, to themselves, to the situation, to deal with the truth of it. The Knight of Swords, like the Nine of Swords, is Gemini. Everybody has free will. Everybody has the free will to work through their own issues, to free themselves from those things, to work together with people in a more just and fair way. And some people did, some people didn't. So let's go look at this. We have the Justice card, the Nine of Wands, the Sun, the Star, the Hermit. And the reason that came out is because of the Six of Pentacles. So, we all have free will, and we all live in the world. We kind of have our more worldly nature, which tells us no, 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 and our ego nature, shadowy Leo, shadowy Sagittarius, shadowy Libra, and Taurus. There is that part of us, because we have this dualistic nature within us, like the knowledge of the tree of good and evil within us. We have our shadow nature. Our shadow nature tells us, no, keep operating from your ego. Keep defending your more egoic nature. Keep doing things the way you've done it. Don't love and believe in yourself. Don't step out of your comfort zone. We don't know if that'll work out. We should play it safe. We should maybe make our life just more about us. Be more defensive. Make our life more about the world. Get in relationships and have stability and security. Don't maybe give up your dreams. Don't believe in yourself. It might not work out. Settle for the worldly dream. And then our high vibe nature, harnessing these energies in a more high vibe way. In high vibe Leo, high vibe Taurus, high vibe Aquarius, high vibe Virgo. Our high vibe nature wants us to see the truth of how our more shadowy nature manipulates us. And that there's other kind of more shadowy people, worldly focused people that want us to be in friendship and relationship and stay in certain jobs, staying in a more shadowy energy because they do. And it could be just making your life more about conforming to the world. Don't ever quit being more inspired by the world. Don't be more independent. Don't shine your own authentic light. Don't be your own unique person in the world. Got to conform to the world. People in the world might not like it if you don't conform to the world and abide by the rules of the world, which can be kind of a more hierarchical type system, right? Don't have hope in, but your high vibe nature wants you to have hope and faith and belief in yourself and in your dreams, and to do some of this inner work about all these things that manipulate you. Shadowy energy at the big picture, kind of represented by the devil. High vibe energy at the big picture, represented by God. We live in a world of duality with free will. As a human being in our worldly nature, we have the free will to decide if we'll align with our more worldly egoic nature, be defensive to more loving and believing in ourselves, staying balanced within ourselves, shining our authentic light in the world, hiding our light beneath the bushel basket, and making our life more about the world. And some people did that, and I think for the first 30 to 50 years of our life, we're pretty caught up in the world. There's a lot of things we want, when we're younger that we want to go indulge in. There's a lot of things that we want to manifest in our life that are part of our idea of the dream life. And sometimes we didn't listen to our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And Sagittarius of the Nine of Wands is that we all kind of go on this adventure in life to come into contact with all these different people in the world, and it's all part of the journey of trying to help us get more clear about what our truth is and isn't. And are we kind of willing to stand up for ourselves at different times during that journey in our life that, wait a minute, I did invest in this way of thinking and viewing life and living life. Was that kind of just and fair? Yeah, because that's where we were at. We were 18, we were 21, we were 25. That's how we viewed life. But as we go on that journey, hopefully, we kind of learn lessons. Again, Sagittarius is about learning lessons. And by going on those different life experiences and coming in contact, doing different things, indulging in certain things, getting in different jobs, friendships, or relationships, it might all be helping us and the people we got in friendship and relationship with. It could have helped everybody kind of get more clear about really what their truth is and their truth isn't. And some people could have been in relationships with people who have more hope and faith and belief and love, and they could have realized, I kind of used to think that's what my truth was, but I really think I'm kind of more about the world. And I kind of think maybe I lack hope and faith and belief really in a higher truth or power, or believing that I have more to work with than just these things of the world, and might not trust kind of listening more to their intuition, might defer more to other people. And I think our intuition, you could look at the pentacles as these different gifts we've been given. We've been given our creative nature, our emotional nature, our intelligence, our mind, our passionate nature, our worldly nature. Have we learned to work with them, or have we not? Have we invested in some of them and think they're equally important, or do we not think some of them are very important and we're not really going to invest in them? And do we have hope and faith and belief that in ourself, in our dreams, and Gemini energy, especially Gemini and Virgo, is about, do we love and believe in ourselves to not compromise our truth and settle for the more worldly illusion and getting more caught up in those things? And sometimes, of course, when we're caught up in those things, it kind of clouds our judgment, and we're sure, no, I'm going to drink this, I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to pop that, and I'm going to gamble this, and I'm going to get in those relationships. I am sure that will make me happy. And then we could be sad and we could be stressed out, and it's kind of like, oh, I guess that didn't quite work out the way I thought. And maybe I turned my back and didn't really love myself, wasn't really, lacked some hope and faith and belief in myself, had some growing up or maturing to do, uh, wasn't willing to see the truth, because shadowy energy could be where we want to kind of stay in denial of the truth, or there's just things we don't know. And we kind of go on that adventure and we find out, oh, that's what I didn't know. And the truth is, you could have found out that some of the people that you've known throughout your life, that the truth is, some of those people harness this energy in a more shadowy way. They have a more worldly view of life. They're more either about themselves or the world or ego or indulging themselves, and they're maybe more immature, more defensive, but they think all that is just and fair. That's their truth. And then we get in relationships with them and we kind of realize, oh, you're more defensive. Oh, you're more about getting in relationships and staying in relationships more for the ego and the image of it. And it's not really love. That isn't really the driving factor. The main thing is you want to have justice in the world the way you view it. And that could be to be in a relationship, maybe indulge in a relationship, maybe try to control people in a relationship, maybe manipulate people in a relationship, maybe live more from your mind than your heart, maybe just more about how it benefits you. And, hopefully if we see the truth of it, that we got in some more mismatched relationships, that we kind of get inspired to love ourselves, to not want to keep staying in a more mismatched relationship. It's kind of like I can stay in jobs, friendships, and relationships where I feel like this. Well, I'm apparently, either I need to change, and I need the fives in the Five of Cups talks about change. If I don't even like my own life and I'm participating in it, why am I doing it? The only person I can change, and again, the King of Wands is about the self, the only person I can change is me. Why do I keep doing this if even I don't like it? you know? And the whole thing is, with the Wheel of Fortune, we can always hope things will change. But if things keep not changing, when are we going to see the truth? And if we feel like we're trying to work together with people in a more just, fair, authentic, loving, hopeful, believing way, doing equal give and take, and it's still not working, well, everybody has to be willing to do that. And maybe everybody isn't, but we haven't wanted to see the truth of it because we wanted it to work. But there can come a time where people are like, this isn't working, and other people might be happy with you being in that energy, maybe because they're in that energy and misery loves company. No, we should stay in this. I know we're both sad. We're both live more from our mind than our heart. We're both stressed out, lack some hope and faith and belief in things, but we're in a relationship, or you have a job, you're here, you're my employee, or I'm your boss, or I'm your employer. We should just keep doing this. And other people are like, oh my gosh, I could keep exchanging resources with these people. Then we have the Hierophant, the devil, and the magician. And the reason it came out is because of the Chariot. We can all stay Taurus of the Hierophant, and this is Taurus also. We can all stay. Taurus represents all these different institutions of the world. Friendships, relationships, jobs, marriages, organizations. We can all stay in them, even though they're kind of toxic. Is what the devil talks about. There can be kind of love there because the devil card looks just like the lover's card. But in the devil card, instead of the angel, which would maybe be having more hope and faith and belief in love and in yourself and in your dreams. High vibe, Aquarius. people can stay in it more because of these worldly reasons. The devil is Capricorn energy. It can look victorious and successful in a lot of ways. That's what kind of Capricorn can be about. The way we view life and things that look victorious and successful, the Chariot, again, things it can talk about victory and success. It looks victorious and successful. But is it in the Magician kind of more of an illusion? And it's not really, it might look good on the surface, but there's things going on beneath the surface that people don't realize, and the difference can be in how people harness their Cancer energy. The Chariot is Cancer. That some people could use their emotions, in the Devil, it can be about kind of manipulating the truth, being a little deceptive and manipulative, being a little bit more prideful or manipulative or abusive, creating an illusion. In relationships with people who create the illusion, they're more motivated by love, more emotionally balanced, are who they say they are, act with character and integrity, are a pillar of society to a degree or something. But that's not really who they are. It's kind of just an illusion they create so people will get in a relationship with them. And then the shadowy people hope that because they're so manipulated by their more worldly nature and value having a certain image or status in the world, and you know that they hope that the other people, if they get them in the relationship and they're hiding with these cards, gosh, now I can't remember, were all those cards not showing themselves? Were these ones not showing themselves? Well, we're gonna keep doing it like they were. But they could either they just harness those energies differently and we didn't know it, or they were kind of hiding the truth of what really kind of drove and motivated them. And it's like the devil tries to manipulate loving people. I'm going to try to get this person in this job or in this friendship, in this relationship, in this group. And then I hope, because by worldly standards and their want to be in friendship, in relationship, have a job, that once I get them in it and it's moving forward and it kind of looks good by worldly standards, that then, and maybe hopefully get them emotionally invested in me. Oh, well, now I think I can start kind of doing my routine of being unjust, unfair, doing hurtful, unkind things, doing immature things, being selfish, being bossy, whatever, and hope that because they really want this to work, that they'll keep putting in this work and effort to make it work, while I kind of get to do whatever the hell I want because they're kind of indulging me in an imbalanced relationship that initially had seemed balanced, and then they start doing things that are kind of tips it into a more imbalanced relationship where someone is indulging someone in poor behavior. And that's what shadowy people want. I want you to indulge me in poor behavior. I want to not really work together with you in love. I just created the illusion I was willing to do that. But I really don't want to do that. I have these unresolved issues and I have fear of love. I get hurt doing love, but I want to stay in the relationship. It works for me and it's nice to be in a relationship with you because you're really loving and encouraging. Well, eventually the loving and encouraging people kind of figure that all out and they're like, but I also want to be in a relationship with someone who's loving and encouraging. And I didn't realize you had all these unresolved issues, or you were just still more about yourself, or more about indulging yourself in it, or more for the ego or the image of it. And that's not why I want to be in a relationship. And if that's the ultimate truth in your Gemini nature, it's like it was a good investment. It would be good for their ego and image. It would make them look like they healed, they grew, they matured, they're a more emotionally loving person than people might have viewed them before, that they've moved on. They're not more materialistic, they're not more toxic or bossy or controlling or whatever. And it all helped to create this illusion. And it's just to find the next person to help create that illusion about the truth of who they are. But it's not the truth of who they are. And eventually, when people hire those people for a job, get in friendship groups or relationships with those types of people or groups of people or whatever, eventually they kind of realize the truth of it. And it can definitely take some time, because if you're a very loving person and think everyone is motivated and inspired by love, you can be a very loving and encouraging person to people to try to help them work through that. But, you know, are people inspired within themselves to the loving and encouraging people in their life, to kind of take over that role within themselves so they don't keep staying in more codependent energy and start doing some of that work within themselves to love themselves and work through those issues to get more balance within themselves. Work through some of those issues and but some people don't want to. It's like, well, no, that's why I want to be in a friendship or relationship with you. I want you to play that role in my life. And so that can kind of be where people, it's kind of like they're looking for someone to mother them, like a mother would with a child. And they don't want to deal with the truth of some of these issues or ways of being. I just want to be in a relationship with someone who's loving and encouraging to me, and then I don't have to do that work within myself because I have you keep loving and encouraging me. But it makes it a more codependent relationship, and they don't want to give birth to anything new. Like, I'm happy doing this. Let's just keep doing this and let's keep moving forward doing this. This is great. This works for me. Well, it doesn't work for the other people who want to give birth to something new. But they can't give birth to something new if the other people are never ready to give birth to something new because they didn't work through the things they needed to work through. The truth sets us free. We have to work through some of the issues of things that kind of manipulated us. The devil's all these things that manipulate us: our fears, our insecurity, our immaturity, our laziness, our pride, our ego, our defensiveness, other people in our life, the world at large, our ego. And the shadowy people are like, no, I don't want to do that. But you should stay working here. You should let me keep working here. We should keep being friends. You should keep letting me hang out with you. It's good for my ego and my image, and you're loving and encouraging and supportive. But they're not that type of person. Well, how long are we going to indulge the devil in a relationship? This isn't just and fair. Love is to be just and fair. Everybody needs to, you kind of want to hang out with people who've learned some of these same lessons that you've learned in life. And if you're not more bossy or controlling or petty or envious or jealous or full of yourself, you don't probably want to hang out with other people who are. And so eventually, the more high vibrational people in those situations, would they like it to work? Yes. Kind of defensive of having a new beginning? Yes. But they've kind of been illuminated to the truth that their dream isn't going to come into reality here. My dream can only come into reality with other people who that is their truth, that were motivated and inspired from love, out of love for ourselves and acting with character and integrity. We offer love to our more immature, shadowy, egoic, selfish, bossy, more about ourself, immature nature, to kind of keep it reined in, offer love and encouragement to it. Like, we are not going to indulge that behavior. We might have indulged that way of being or acting or thinking or viewing ourselves or viewing the world at different times in our life. We have shed those old ways of being. And now we're inspired to face our fears and not let the world and our fears and our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego manipulate us, because we've learned and been illuminated to the truth that if I act in more immature, shadowy, prideful, whatever ways, the high vibe people in my life are going to move on. And I'll probably end up in relationship with people who are happy I'm in that energy of shadowiness, because they are too. And people have learned that lesson. If I want to be in relationships with people who are more balanced, more just, more fair, act with character and integrity, are more authentic and loving and encouraging, I need to hold myself accountable. And that's why some people, they can move forward in those kind of relationships and friendships for a while, wear a false mask. Oh, me too. Yep, that's my truth. But it's really not. And eventually, they don't want to maybe be in it anymore either. Just like, when you're kind of thinking, there's some things I don't like about this, the other people are probably equally thinking there's things I don't like about this, because it is not, you don't like it because it's not aligned with your truth. They don't like it because it's not really aligned with their truth. But shadowy Scorpio in the Five of Cups and kind of this card over here, some people are more emotionally shallow, superficial, codependent. And so long as it looks good for their ego and image and it works for them, they'll stay in it, even though it's not aligned with their truth. But because their ego or their image or their status and how it looks by worldly standards is so important to them, they could be more willing to stay in it. Just like, not necessarily equivalent to having a job. Sometimes people can be in a job where they don't like it and they don't really care for the people and it's not aligned with their truth and is a career field they don't really like to be in. Sometimes those people will stay in it irregardless. But, sometimes we could feel that, like, particular in a job, that even though we don't really care for it, until there might be other circumstances that could make us stay in it. Everybody has to make their own decision. Everyone else could have felt that way to some degree, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, or a job. But I think high vibe energy wants us to use our discernment, listen to our intuition, don't compromise our truth. Other people can act the way they act. We don't have to act like that also. But we have the free will to manifest and invest our time, energy, and effort into what we want to manifest for our life. And in a world of duality where we have to be given free will choice, if some people are creating a little hell on earth, that means God's creating a little heaven on earth. And if you were to go explore maybe your options, not necessarily, I'm not saying that in a romantic relationship, I think it's better to do just that work within yourself, to love and believe in yourself and listen to your intuition. And if that means, work through your fears of loving and believing in yourself and finding the means to move, get a different job, find some people in your life that could be supportive and encouraging to get out of that. Because when people are shadowy, you're either tempering yourself and you're kind of growing and healing and maturing yourself, kind of improving, or you're kind of getting worse over time. And some people who are bossy and controlling, they get more bossy and controlling. If they need more attention and to be more about them, they need more attention for it to be more about them. If there's things that they could indulge in to make themselves feel better, that's what they're looking to. They are sure that is the answer to their problems. They'll probably keep, indulging in it until they kind of hit rock bottom. And sometimes it takes for people to hit rock bottom, just like some of the rest of us have gone through in our life. And, we realize we got to do things differently. And I better start to love myself and believe in myself and quit indulging my more self-pity or past pain and heartbreak and work through it to let it go so I can manifest what I want to manifest. Can we want to be in friendship and relationship with people? Is it nice to have loving and encouraging, supportive people in our life? Yes. And when we have loving and encouraging, supportive people in our life, we take that opportunity to do this work within ourselves. And some people, when they were in those friendships and relationships and workplaces that could have been better than some other situations they were in, they did do that work. But again, some of the people they got in a relationship, which could have been better than some of the other things they had been in, those people though didn't do that work. And it can be kind of going from people are happy at a certain way of living life and phase of life, and that's how they want to keep living it. You realize, well, I don't want to keep living my life that way. So you kind of could face your fears, move forward, but then you go to the next stage of life and you kind of meet the people who are happy at that phase of life and want to keep doing that phase of life forever. It's like, what about continuing to grow and heal or mature ourselves and we keep moving forward? Oh no, I didn't want to do that. I do this. You didn't want to do that. Now you're doing this. Now we should do this. Like forever. And, we can meet people along that way, just like when we were 15, 18, 21, 25. We could have met people that it's like, oh, yeah, no, I didn't want to be a 15-year-old anymore. Now I'm more like an 18-year-old. Oh, but now I want to stay like an 18-year-old for like 5 years. And it's like, what about 3 years? And now we go move on to the next stage. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. And then we go to the 21-year-old phase and we meet people and then they never want to go to the 25-year-old stage. No, I want to keep doing this for like another 5 years. It's like, you know, high vibe energy, love, both the high vibe, the chariot, and the empress are about love. It is about learning these lessons. High vibe Sagittarius. Go on this journey, learn some lessons, see what are the good building blocks to take with, what you kind of see are not such good building blocks to take with you that you should let go of, and you keep moving forward. Kind of continue to grow and mature yourself. And at any stage of life, we can meet people that are like, no, let's just stay here and keep doing this. And then we could have other people in our life who keep moving forward with us. We could meet new people who move forward with us. And it's just kind of to get out of our ego about accepting the fact that everybody is where they're at. Everybody has their way of living life that they think is just and fair. They have the things that they want to manifest. They have their idea of the dream life, dream relationship, all the things that make that up. Sometimes we're not on the same page. Some of those people are just and fair and loving people, but we're still not really quite on the same page because you could look at it that can we all get along and know each other in a neighborhood, an organization, a workplace, and get along fine? Yes. Does everybody necessarily, if everybody were single and wanted to be in a relationship, are they all on the same page? No. It's kind of that unique mix of just like we can't be friends with someone and feel like they're really our best friend. We can date people and we don't really feel like, I don't, can I like you? Can I appreciate you and you like me and appreciate me and we could have a lot of things in common? What is that unique thing that makes someone become more of a best friend or someone that you want to be in a more involved relationship? And we all can be sad and disappointed about those things. The difference is that the high vibe people work through it. They don't keep staying in their ego about it. And they kind of accept the truth and they're able to move on. They offer love to themselves and the situation to accept the truth. Everybody's where they're at. Could some of those people, I think, in my life that maybe not, well, some of them could have been a romantic interest. Some of them can just be friends or family. Do I think some of those people never work through some of their issues? Yes. Do I think some of those people are defensive to investing in love? Yes. Could I think some of those people are kind of bossy or controlling or full of themselves? Yes. Can I think some of those people are more materialistic driven? Yes. Ego driven, more about themselves, manipulative? Yes. And I've just learned all these lessons from all these different people. And it's to keep learning those lessons, move forward with the people in my life who do work together with me in a more just and fair way. I learn lessons along the way. I've made mistakes. People have moved on from me. I've moved on from other people, you know, and then we can all be sad sometimes that, because we had these lessons to learn or hadn't learned to love ourselves, that we didn't work with some of the more just and fair and loving people in our life. And then, you know, But we believe that the divine has a plan for our life. The divine ultimately knows what lessons we need to learn, what other lessons other people need to learn. God knows what drives and motivates us. God knows what really ultimately drives and motivates them. And we can always, the King of Wands, the kings can talk about taking action, whether you're male or female. And the wand can be about communication. When we know that we had some healing or growing or maturing to ourselves, we could always communicate that to people. But then it's up to them to decide. In the meantime, we keep moving forward in our life. And some of those people one day might say, you know what? I did some reflection on it, and I think that you did heal and grow and mature yourself in some way. And I do think that you have gotten more emotionally balanced or learned to love yourself. And, I would be willing to see if we can work things out, be friends again, or you come back and work here if that's the case, whatever. You have to humble yourself and admit that you're a fallible human being who make mistakes. And there can be some people in the world who are never willing to do that. And so, and some of them, they really don't think they have to, because in their way of viewing life, regardless of what they do, they think it's just and fair. So, some people have delusions about themselves. High vibe people have worked through their regrets. They're moving forward. They've accepted the fact that some people in their life, that their dream isn't going to come into reality with some of them. Their dream couldn't come into reality with them. And they're moving forward, not repeating old patterns because they don't want to repeat that kind of relationship dynamic. And I think when you listen to your intuition and let love and intuition guide you more than your fear, your insecurity, or your pride, or your ego, or any of those things, some people are moving forward in new beginnings with, listening to their intuition. To maybe the Capricorn can represent, again, kind of like Taurus, they're both earth sign energy. These institutions or organizations or jobs and people that you do feel are more on the same page as you, and that you could feel are more balanced. These two cards can talk about balance, are maybe more mature. There could be people in that environment. Some of them you could think are a little shadowy. Well, there's always going to be shadowy people in the world. It doesn't matter what stage of life you go to. There's always going to be shadowy people at that phase of life too. But you're not letting that or those kind of people manipulate you. There could be people there who could be attracted to you. There could be people you're attracted to if you're single. If you're not single, and you and the people that you're in relationship with, it could just be other people in your environments that you have to deal with that kind of try to maybe distract you and get your attention off, more of focused on the things that you do want to manifest. And you could kind of see the truth of it. Why am I letting these things distract me so much? I'm going to focus on the people in my life who are working together with me in a more just and fair way. And I might communicate to some of those people, I like you, if it's family or friend, I'm sorry, maybe that, but I have what I am trying to manifest here. And I don't feel like maybe we're kind of on the same page, or it kind of causes conflict or disruption. I think this is a just and fair and balanced and loving thing I have going on here. And I'm not willing to risk that, even if it's my own peace of mind and my own stability and my own feeling balanced within myself. And we all should have the free will to say, I want to be independent of some of these things or people. And hopefully, if we have people in our life, who love us could respect that maybe some of the drama they tried to bring in, that's not my life. You know, do I wish you the best? Yes. Can I be a loving and encouraging person? Yes. But I don't want to be caught up in all that drama. I've already maybe lived my life, been there, done that. And, if you want to be around people where you enjoy a more just, fair, balanced, loving environment, you can be around. If you want to kind of bring your drama into it, so your life is like we're kind of having to go through the drama of it with you, we don't really appreciate that. you know it's like that is things for you to work through and make a decision on your own. We can be loving and encouraging people. If you decide you like this, then why do you keep doing that or hang out with those people? you know until you kind of work through that within yourself, it can kind of feel like you're wasting your breath, and then they can get mad that you're not all more emotionally invested in it. It's like, I maybe already told you I don't think that's just or fair. I think it's kind of toxic, or I think it's kind of unhealthy. And then you get mad that I feel that way, but well, don't bring me into your business to that degree. And then, I won't know about it. Um, if you don't want to hear my truth, then be around me and enjoy my company, and we enjoy our day, and don't bring your maybe more personal life drama into it if you don't want to hear other people's opinion. And what's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy anyway? The Judgment card. Why? Because of the Eight of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles is Virgo energy, right there with the Hermit. You did that inner work within yourself because you wanted to get to the truth. The Hermit goes within to want to get to the truth. If I'm sad and stressed out, why am I sad and stressed out? If I'm in relationship with people and everything seems fine, but I'm sad and stressed out, what is it within me? Or is there something going on that I'm not really kind of wanting to see the truth of, that kind of makes me sad and stressed out? Sometimes you can be in relationships with people and they're very subtle, and they're very good at wearing a false mask, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint it. And so that's when people can kind of do this work within themselves, because they don't want to blame other people for maybe why they feel the way they do. And it could force them to work through some of these issues from their past to make sure that I have worked through the issues of my own, because I don't want to blame other people for the way I feel. But then those people can do that work within themselves. They've kind of set themselves free. And then it's like, okay, I've worked through those issues. I know it's not something within me. It could have been, but I worked through those things. So then it's like to talk to the people in their life. And it's like, I'm ready to move forward. Aren't we happy? I worked through some things that kind of manipulated me. And that's when some people in your life don't like it, and that's when it's kind of like working through issues that you kind of I know I'm doing everything I can to make this work. And if it's still not working, then I need to kind of look at the people I'm working with. And that's when people could kind of start to more clearly see that if I'm doing everything I can, trying to work together with people in a just and fair way to move this forward, and it's still not seeming to move forward in a more just or fair or authentic or loving way, I'm going to start looking at the people more that I am in relationship, because I've already done the work within myself. And that's when people might start to see some things, and Virgo can talk about these things that were hidden in the dark, or that you weren't seeing before. And that could have made you realize that you needed to call judgment on some things, judgments within yourself, you holding yourself accountable, but then also equally holding other people accountable. And sometimes that's when a relationship can end because other people don't want to be held accountable, and they might not want to put in that work and effort. And that's what you could kind of see, is feeling like you were putting in more of the work and effort, and other people just kind of wanted to indulge in it. And it's like, I don't want to be where other people are indulging in it. We are equally all putting in work and effort to make this work, or other people are carrying other people's load. Well, the other people are kind of floating, and that's not just and fair. And just like people can call judgment on themselves, can call judgment on some friends in their life or family members or an employer, an employer could call judgment on employees. Other people in life can call judgment on other people. And, it's just maybe the Eight of Pentacles also is Virgo, and like I mentioned, is Virgo energy. It could just be seeing that our long-term goals is different, how we want to move forward is different, what we want to give birth to is different, and we accept the truth of it. We can only work together with other people who are willing to work together with us. But the people we work with, we want them to do equal give and take, be just and fair, and be authentic and loving. And some people aren't willing to do that. And the people that you're moving forward with are. And as you're moving forward in that energy, other people who maybe were kind of going back and forth or weren't sure could decide, yep, I'm going to work with these people. I think these people are kind of more on the same page as me than some other people. When we quit investing our time, energy, and effort into people who turn their back on working together with us in this energy, it frees us up to go find the people in the world who are. And, the devil can talk about, we could take the easy way out or try to cheat the justice system. The devil's about immediate gratification. High vibe energy is it takes work and effort. Giving birth to something new, just like giving birth to a baby, takes time. It's all the stages that you go through. It all takes time, and that's also what Virgo energy talks about. Slow, steady steps, investing in your truth. It might take one step back, but then you take two steps forward. It's like, I am not going, there's a certain boundary that I don't want to cross anymore. I'm going this way. And if I'm tempted to do certain things, have certain people in my life, whatever, that could cause me to kind of repeat some poor past patterns or ways of being that aren't aligned with my truth, and I need to distance myself from those things or those people, because it obviously is not aligned with my truth. So what's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy that they might not see coming? The Justice card and the Nine of Wands, and the reason is because of the Two of Pentacles. Well, I think when people are kind of more shadowy, they could think it's just and fair to either be more defensive or more immature. And because they juggle the truth and they want to keep juggling the truth. Like, kind of, the Two of Pentacles can either be that they're more two-faced. Well, I think it's just and fair for me to present myself as a more just and fair and motivated by love type of person. But that's not really the truth of who I am. And so long as they think that way, they're going to keep living their life that way. They'll just go find someone else to do it with. In their Capricorn nature within themselves, they could really be more inspired in their fire sign energy by the world. It's more about them or the ego or the image. And they, of course, think that's just and fair. So they defend that more worldly view of life, and they'll probably go try to get in relationships with other people who have that more worldly view of life, which would be just and fair. What's unjust and unfair is for people who know they harness these energies in a more shadowy way to try to get a more loving person who's not more about being about themselves or these things they indulge in, or a more materialistic worldly view of life, even though they can want stability and security and stuff, it's not the driving factor in their life, and they know it, and they know their truth is that is the truth of who they are. That's an injustice. And the high vibe people who listen to their intuition about that, I think they get to move forward and give birth to something new because they kind of learned that lesson. They got out of a more mismatched relationship. They learn the lesson, they get to move forward to the next level of the video game of life. And while they're doing that, the other people are going to keep doing what they do. And the same thing will keep happening if they keep trying to manipulate loving people and juggle the truth. The same thing might happen. And until they are willing to, get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as them, I think ultimately they'll be more surrounded by people who are more like them, who also think that way, believe that way, motivated by those things, want to indulge in those things, who think that's just and fair. Because we all kind of like to hang out with people who are more like ourselves in whatever degree. And they could be happy and enjoy their life and feel like they got justice. Because now, if they get in relationships with people who are more like themselves in a way, and I think that is just and fair. Everybody has the free will to put in work and effort to manifest what they want to manifest. I think what the high vibe people will manifest and give birth to is going to be different than what the maybe more worldly, shadowy, immature, defensive, bossy, haven't worked through past pain and heartbreak will manifest. But, that's kind of the phase of life they're at. And we've been there. It's just that some of the people we got in relationship with, we thought they'd worked through that, and they were at a different stage of life, and we found out they weren't. And instead of trying to present themselves as something they're not, it would be more beneficial for them to kind of get in relationship with people who are at that same stage of life. And maybe together they can help work each other through it. It's kind of like, again, some people who apply for a job that they're not qualified for and lie on their resume or something, or their job history, and then they get in it and the workplace is trying to work with them, and then it's like, I don't think this is going to work. It was like too big of a jump. And that's when, sometimes we need to do more of those in-between stages, and some people need to do a more in-between stage. And if they wanted to move forward in life a little differently, kind of took off more than they could chew, that they weren't ready for. And there's other people who are ready, and that's what some people could be seeing the difference of, even between people in their friendship group and their workplaces. Who are the people who seem to try to present themselves and always have excuses about why things don't move forward? And who are the people who, I'm going to work on those things of my own, not going to make excuses. I'm putting in the work and effort to move this forward. My own shit is my own shit. And who are more the people who always have an excuse? And, the shadowy people might experience some high vibrational people being defensive to them and picking up their investment in them, because they have these different ideas of how they thought things were going to move forward and what they think is just and fair. And the shadowy people could be defensive of that because they don't want to see the truth. If you don't work through your own issues, if you're not willing to work together more cooperatively with people, if you keep being defensive to investing in something, if you keep not willing to do love if it's romantic, if you keep doing more immature things, indulging your more immature nature, eventually some people are going to move on from you. But they can keep not wanting to see the truth of it, And they can go get in a different job, friendship, or relationship and start the whole process all over somewhere else. And then it's for those people to decide. Other people have already decided, and those people, here we have the Seven of Pentacles, and then we go down to the Six of Pentacles. Some people quit investing in people that they realized was not their truth, and they needed to stand up for themselves. And they were illuminated to the truth. This wasn't going to move forward the way they thought. And after those people worked through some of their fears and insecurities of moving forward differently, they did move forward differently. No more juggling, no more going back and forth. They have made the decision to move forward with or without some of these people, or letting some of these people go. And the shadowy people were like, well, I thought you were going to keep going back and forth about the truth. Because again, loving people in their life can go back and forth about wanting to deal with the truth or see the truth for a really long time because they're defensive. They would like things to move forward the way they had hoped it would move forward. But eventually they can't keep staying in denial of the truth. And that's when Judgment Day comes, like a thief in the night. You know, you never know. And that's what the shadowy people don't get, is eventually people are going to call judgment on them. And they keep thinking, oh, no, I've had people in my life that keep indulging me all my life, never want to see the truth. And it's like, well, then you should go enjoy them. You're not going to keep moving forward with me or us. And they're like, shit, now I got to go find someone else to try to be lazy or immature or bossy or controlling or juggle the truth with and wear a false mask to. And the other people have seen the truth and set themselves free and moving forward with people who are more on the same page as them. So there you go, Cancer. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.